Hey, Patrick here from SERP Pro. In this video, I'm going to show you how we approach guest posting with our customers and how we make sure that the sites we're getting are vetted, for quality against spam, and most important, making sure they, bring an impact to your rankings. So I'm going to go through the steps on how we approach the vetting process so you could do it the next time, a better way, maybe different approach. So a common thing in the SEO community is domain rating, DR. It's a third-party metric provided by Ahrefs, one of the largest software tools in the SEO community. And, people are 50-50 on it. Some say it's a misleading, metric. Some say it's a great metric. I'm kind of in between. Now, yes, DR, domain rating, can be as easily manipulated if it is manipulated. But I personally like DR only if I make sure, to check other things as well, aside from just DR. DR is just one metric, but you want to look at a link profile in its entirety. You want to look at the website in its entirety. DR is a good metric to start from, but not, the all-seeing, all-deciding number. Now, let's just pull up a website as an example. We're here now on SERP Pro on the platform, and I'm going to choose NY Weekly, right? And so I pulled it up in Ahrefs just to see what the DR metric is, right? So DR 74, great metric, right? It's very high. The problem is a lot of websites could be easily manipulated, meaning it's an expired domain. They just, put a website on there for the primary purpose to sell links. Now that's something that we want to avoid. So typically when we look at websites, DR, yeah, that's a good metric. But the second thing we really want to look at is actual genuine traffic. Traffic to us is one of the most important metrics for every website. It's almost like Google is rewarding the website with traffic, right? Which means they're doing something right. So we always try to focus on sites that get at least 5,000 to 10,000 monthly traffic on Ahrefs. Now, keep in mind, Ahrefs always underestimates the amount of traffic. Typically, when you see this, it's usually 1/3 to 2/3 of the actual traffic of a website. It's that way. I mean, we add our websites to Ahrefs and we see that the traffic, is not accurate, but it's usually 1/3 to 2/3 of the actual traffic. So I'm going to assume that this website gets at least 50,000 plus visitors, which is a great starting point, right? So the next thing we look at is the traffic trajectory. So we want to make sure that they haven't dropped significantly where they started flatlining and then all of a sudden they went up and they went back to flatlining, meaning they got penalized very harshly. This is actually not a bad sign. Yeah, they had this initial spike, but overall, they haven't really, gone back to zero. Now, the next thing we want to look at is backlinks. We want to make sure the backlinks that the site is getting are legit. Now, there's a lot of backlinks here, right? We don't want to necessarily check every single backlink, and we won't. But I always try to, grab a sample size of websites just to look at, what kind of sites are linking back to nyweekly.com, insider.com. That's a good, authority website to get a link from. Let's see. There's some niche websites, travel websites. Just look around, see what kind of sites are linking back. I usually take a quick look. Overall, looks pretty decent. There aren't really any PBN links. The majority of the sites are not PBNs or spammy websites. These are just regular blogs. Some are larger websites. So to me, this looks fairly decent, right? You can keep looking and keep looking. It's going to take a lot of time to do it. It's going to take a lot of effort to check a site one by one. You're going to end up spending hours just on vetting websites. But yeah, so what our team does, we look at the link profile, we look at the DR metrics, we look at the traffic level, and then what we do next is we look at the actual website, right? This is obviously one of the most important things to us. Now, in this case, this is a news website, so they're going to cover multiple topics. So we look at the website, make sure it looks like a legit brand, a legit website, not just a site that's meant to sell links, right? And there's a ton of examples that I will show you in, more videos. So as we're looking, to me, this looks like a fairly legit website, right? Like an online newspaper. So you want to always approach it that way. You want to look at the website itself. Does it look legit? Do they have, a contact page? Do they have privacy policies? In this case, it's a news site. But there's a ton of websites out there that aren't necessarily newspaper websites, but they cover multiple topics: health, business, technology. And those are the typical general guest post sites, and they're only looking to sell links on them. Those are the sites you want to avoid. What I typically do is I want to look for sites that are either news websites or they're focused on in a specific market, right? So for example, let's just say we're looking for finance, right? So we want to look for sites. This is a fairly small site, but let's just look at it real quick. Because if you have a client, that's an accountant or a CPA, you want to look for sites that are specifically focused on that market, right? So a site like this, yes, they might sell links. Obviously they are, because they're on our marketplace. But overall, they're mainly focusing on the finance industry. So we look at this and we make sure that, is it really relevant? Do they only focus on one industry, or are they covering 10 other industries and they're not necessarily a newspaper? We don't want to go for those. We want to avoid those because those are meant to sell links, right? So overall, that's how we kind of approach guest posting. We don't overthink much about that. And that's how we approach it. We want to make sure they have a legit website, they need to look like an actual brand with an actual audience. We want to make sure that the traffic amount is a significant amount. And, then you can look at domain rating. You can justify that metric by looking at everything else. But saying that DR is a useless metric, I don't fully agree with that. It's only useless if the other things don't check out, right? It's always going to be a combination thing. So I hope this video helped you vet websites. And obviously, if you're not looking to vet them yourself, you don't have the time to, scale that part, you can always get on SERP Pro. We have thousands of websites that are vetted in our marketplace in any industry possible. And then you can just go ahead and just get started with your link building. Thank you for watching, and until next time.